Right, guys, I've got some information I'd like to spread with you over the time that I've got myself knowledge within life on questioning life. Basically, I've had the ability to question life. So let's learn a little bit about the law. What you need to understand is legal is not law. Legal is only put in place so the system can get profitable gain. That's all the reason that legal is there for, profitable gain. So the more laws the more rules they make, the more likely you are going to step out of line, and the more likely the system will gain from you stepping out of line. So I'm going to explain the law to you. And this is how simple it is. It's so simple, a child can understand it. Right? This is how simple it is. You've got legal and you've got lawful. Nobody knows the difference between legal and lawful. They think it's the same thing. But I'm going to enlighten you now and open your mind to think about it this way. Right. Common law is the law of the land. It's the global law of the land. And this common law, which is law, and it has 3 rules. 3 simple rules. And those rules are there and put in place so we can all live in peace and tranquility between ourselves. That's how simple it is. So common law rule number 1 is you don't go around hitting or harming anybody, injuring or harming anybody. Yeah? Because it causes a mental distress. Common law rule number 2 is you don't go around breaching people's peace, because that's a mental distress. If I go up to someone on the street and say, "Come here, you little bastard," I'm going to knock your fucking teeth out. That person becomes one of 2 people. He's rather going to front it and say, "Come on then, dickhead, let us have it," but it still causes a mental distress whether he's fronting it or not. We don't want it. Yeah? Or he's going to become the second person. He's going to be someone who's going to go more within themselves and say, "Sorry, I don't want no trouble, I don't want no trouble." Yeah? So that's the second rule of the law. The third rule of the law is you don't cause anyone to be at a loss. That is theft, fraud, deception, robbery, burglary, damage. Because if you damage someone's property, you are causing them to be at a loss. So, every police constable or officer, which I'll explain to you in a minute, the difference in the 2. Every constable or officer, every judge and every solicitor signed an oath of office to uphold common law. Not legal, common law. Right. So, with that being said, under common law, that's connected to a constable. So when a police constable, when a policeman or woman comes up to me, I will say, "What seems to be the problem?" Constable. So they know I'm talking to them in a common law term. Now, an officer is connected to legal. He's in office, but so he's using his office, but on the streets, to gain profitable gain. And that's where it's linked to your birth certificate. Because when you created the birth certificate, you have connected yourself with a legal fiction name. And when you give that legal fiction name to any corporation or authority, you become the bottom of the ladder and you can be slapped anywhere accordingly. When you give that birth certificate name, you're connected. What you're basically doing is making a verbal contract to be slapped. Yeah? So, a constable is under common law. An officer is connected to legal. Now, under common law, you don't need a driving licence. Because the only time you need a driving licence is when you're in commerce. And commerce is another word for being in business, earning money on the road. So a taxi driver, a delivery driver, a haulage driver, a car recovery guy, a scrap man, they're all making money on the road. So they have to have a licence. Now, isn't it funny that when you get taxed for a car, it says private light goods. But yet, you're not light goods. You are not, like, under commerce, you are a driver. Under commerce, you are in a vehicle. But under common law, in a car, you are exercising your right to travel in your private conveyance. You don't need a licence. Yet, just because it's forced upon us, doesn't mean to say it's the law. That's where the government is committing tyranny on us. Yeah? The government and the law and the police are all committing tyranny on the people. So this is what you need to understand, right? I exercise my right to travel in my private conveyance. I've not got a licence. Right? I'm standing under common law. So when a police officer or a constable pulls me over and puts me in the back of his car and does a PNC check, and the van or my private conveyance is in my name and I'm insured in my name. So when he confronts me and says I've not got a licence, I say to him, under what law do you need a licence? And he'll say, the Traffic Act, blah, 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 1960, 1970, 1980, whenever that time came out. It's an act. And the reason why it's called an act is because it's acting as the law. It isn't the law, it's acting as the law. Now, when that constable or that officer starts to question me, my words to him is, are you legally and lawfully trained to give legal and lawful advice? And I know the answer to that question. No police constable or officer is educated to give legal and lawful advice. Only a solicitor is. Right? Not even a judge is. A solicitor is. Right? So simple as this. Right. So, I've asked the constable, the officer, are you legally and lawfully trained to give legal and lawful advice? And he'll answer that question by saying no, he's not. So if he's not legally and lawfully trained to give legal and lawful advice, how can he sit there in the conduct of the job that he's in and tell me it's against the law to have no licence whilst I'm exercising my right to travel in my private conveyance? He's just being told what to do by his superior, and he's going out and doing it on his own back and conducting himself what can only be called malfeasing conduct. It's like me pretending to be a doctor and giving out tablets to people and saying I'm a doctor and I'm medicating people when I'm not. It's malfeasing conduct. They are committing tyranny on the people. Now, because I've not got a licence, he'll see fit to take my property off me, and they'll sell it on in an auction at profitable gain. Yeah? So the first thing I do when I know they're taking my property off me, I'll chuck the car key and I will vandalise my vehicle, my car, my private conveyance in front of them to show that they're not selling my car on at maximum profit, you cheeky bastards. So basically, I'll put him on his oath. I'll say, are you under your oath, constable? Because under common law, you don't need a licence. So, not only is he acting in malfeasing conduct, but he is breaking the law himself. Because he's legally taking my property off me and causing me to be at a loss, which is breaking common law. He's thieving my vehicle off me, my property off me, my private conveyance. Yeah? I keep saying vehicle because it's brainwashed into us, so I keep slipping up. But he's causing me to be at a loss because he's taking my private conveyance, my property, off me. Now this is where it's corrupt, because a police constable should not be against the people. They should be working for the people. But they've put themselves in a position where they are constantly against people to gain profit. By giving you a fine, by giving you, I wouldn't say compensation, because compensation tends to be where you have caused damage or something, where you cause someone to be at a loss. So you broke common law, so you deserve to pay compensation. But I don't deserve to pay a fine for having no licence under common law. Does that make sense? So, educate yourself, guys. Legal is not law. It is forced upon us by corrupt system. Thank you for listening.